Alright, let's today understand the concept of Lakehouse. So, essentially, what is a Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse? It is nothing but a simple, I can say, like storage or service which can handle structured and unstructured data, right? And we can also use analyze operations simultaneously. So, it's basically like everything under one hood. There are some features to it as well, like some of the automatic features. If we drag and drop files there in the workspace, then it automatically validates the supported structure formats. Next, another important point is if the tables are not cannot be queried, then you should be keeping some of the points in mind. One of the points in that, only the tables in the delta format are available in SQL Analytics endpoint. So I'll show you in a while the SQL Analytics endpoint. It's available in the right hand top corner. It's SQL Analytics endpoint is nothing but it gives a feel of the SQL. It's a kind of layer there. This is one of the important point. So let's move to the SQL Analytics endpoint. So that's what I was covering. So it is nothing but a SQL based experience. We got to keep in mind the concept because in a short while we'll be covering the quiz related to this. Also, you need to remember or know what SQL endpoints what are in read-only mode in delta tables and all. So this second point is also important. And with regard to external tables, whether you won't be able to view or not, that is another thing to consideration in mind. So we can use shortcuts in table space to make the external delta tables visible via SQL endpoint. So that is another important thing to note. So let's now see this in the hands-on, like how the Lakehouse looks like. Alright, the Lakehouse something looks like this. Like if we have the Power BI dashboard, then on the right hand corner SQL endpoint as mentioned. So we have the tables listed here. We have the variety of tables like customer, inventory, product, sales, and we can view the properties and view table files like the Parquet file populated here. We can look. Parquet file starts with part triple five zeros and all those kind of stuffs. Also, we can check the unstructured files like the audio files if it is stored. Like as mentioned, we can store both structured and unstructured files in the Lakehouse. Next, we can also explore a variety of features under the file section. Like we can view the files like CSV files, and let's open one of the files like email address. So we can see the files present there, like how the content looks like. So that's how we can also load delta tables and all. So this is the overall concepts for Lakehouse. Alright, now let's dive into some quiz question related to Lakehouse and the concepts which we have just viewed few moments back in the theory part. Diving into the option and explanation, the trick to answer this question is to look the different kind of table types. If you look here in the question, there are different table types like delta table, external table, managed table. So let's try to understand the question first. We have a Lakehouse which contains three tables. One is table A, delta table. Second is table B, external table. And third is table C, that is managed table. Now we want to connect to the Lakehouse using SQL endpoint. Few moments back, we went through the theory part of SQL endpoint as well in details. Now let's check our knowledge by looking at this option. We'll look at option B and D first. Both option B and D uses the update. Update operation is not possible in a Lakehouse table using SQL endpoint because tables are read only. If we want to update the table, then we need to use Spark or data flows. Hence, these both are incorrect. Let's move to option C. C says read table B. Table B, if we look here, is an external table as per the question. When we create an external table using Spark, we cannot see the table using SQL endpoint. We can only see the table from Lakehouse. Hence, this is again incorrect. Let's move to option A. That is the only option remaining. That is read table C. Since table C is a managed table, so therefore we can see and read the tables using SQL endpoint. Let's look at the official documentation to confirm. It's mentioned external delta tables created with Spark code won't be visible to the SQL Analytics endpoint. Use shortcuts in tablespace to make external delta tables visible to the SQL Analytics endpoint. So that's what is required. We'll lock option A as the correct answer. Alrighty, this looks to be an interesting question. We'll look at option A and B first. A says Java, B says ASP.NET. Java and ASP.NET aren't used in Fabric Notebook. Hence, incorrect choice. We'll reject this. We are left out with Spark SQL and PySpark. The keyword here is like the Fabric Notebook. Whenever Fabric Notebook is there, we know that Spark is the keyword. So in both the option, we have the Spark. If you look, Spark SQL, here is Spark. PySpark, also Spark is there. By using the concept like Fabric Notebook, we can also arrive at the correct answer. We'll look at the official documentation. It's written, predict in a Synapse. PySpark Notebook provides you the capability to score machine learning models. And also in the same documentation, if you scroll down a bit, it's written you can call predict three ways. One is using Spark SQL API, using user-defined function, also known as UDF, and the last one is using Transformer API. That's what is required. We'll lock option C and D as the correct answer. Alright, to answer this question, we need some hands-on experience. If you have done hands-on, even if you have not done the hands-on in Fabrics, if you have done the hands-on on Databricks, that would also work, because the same concept, if you look, creating the data frames is used. We usually display the data frames with the display command to see the contents of the data frame. We'll check this in the hands-on as well from in few moments. So let's reject all the options except option A. So if we see in the hands-on, we have created one data frame to like import the Parquet file. Then we have displayed the data frame, that is the content of the Parquet file, using the display command. So here is the like the view, chart view, like we are using the chart view here, and we can select different kind of charts here to display according to your needs. But the bottom line is we need the display command. So let's look at the official documentation. It's mentioned you can use the display function on data frames that created in PySpark and Scala on Spark data frames on or resilient distributed datasets RDD functions to produce the rich data frame table views and chart view. So that's what is required, chart view. We'll lock option A, display, as the correct answer. Okay, this is pretty straightforward question. Whether we are working on an existing Power BI desktop file or opened a new project, we can save the project file with PBIP extension. Hence we'll keep option A and reject the rest. Let's look at the official documentation. It's there are the steps how we can save, and we can save using the PBIP file. And also it's written, if you're working on a new project or you have opened an existing Power BI desktop file, PBIX, for the existing file it's PBIX, you can save your work as a Power BI project file, that is PBIP. That's what is required. We'll lock option A as the correct answer. Let's bring the heat to the snow. We'll mark the keyword and we'll look at option A and C first. Option A says encryption mode, C says fast query mode. There is no mode as encryption mode or fast query mode, hence incorrect choice. Let's now look at option B. B says direct lake mode. So in order to abide by row level security, also known as RLS, Power BI queries in direct lake mode will run in direct query mode. Hence option B with regard to row level security is incorrect. We are left out with direct query mode. Let's look at the official documentation. It's written row level security only applies to queries on a warehouse or a SQL Analytics endpoint in Fabric. Power BI queries on a warehouse in direct lake mode will fall back to direct query mode to abide by row level security. We'll lock option D as the correct answer. So please don't go away. Let's meet in part 3 of this series, which gonna be more interesting.